Let's talk about being versus doing. I was having a chat with Sati earlier, and it was really funny because we've got this canvas in our house, right? Just kind of show you this canvas. It's me, Sati and Sage. We went out for food. Sage was about 2, and I got this thing that said "World's Best Wife Lives Here" on it. And it hangs in our house. And what was really interesting is we were talking about my skin. So for those of you that don't know, I've had skin challenges for years. I've got eczema, and it's flaring up a little bit at the moment. You might see some stuff around my eyes here. It's been a little bit challenging lately. I know what triggers it. It's stress. Sometimes eating foods that I know I shouldn't. Things I'm aware of, intolerances I've got to wheat and dairy and things like that. And a bit of an autoimmune deficiency as well, which I'm working on. And it was really funny because Sati made a joke earlier. She said, the beautiful thing about my wife is she says it as it is, right? She said, I take you now with your bad skin over this guy who had great skin, but inside was really, really unhappy and was snappy and moody and in his pain body a lot. And she's not wrong. It wasn't as bad as we've made it sound. She was joking, but the point being is that, like, that was about 3 years ago. Since then, I've had 100+ hours of therapy, shadow work, inner child work, shamanic healing, some really, really, really interesting stuff, some tough stuff. And yeah, like, it's been a really, really interesting journey. I've learned things about myself that I didn't know. And I was in a men's group just earlier today. I'm part of a men's group. And I was saying how I've not been in the group for a few weeks. And I said, one of the things I've been learning about myself over the past few weeks is around attachment, detachment, and how my kind of inner child has a very strong dominant need to be validated and liked and approved of, and that's still a prevalent pattern. But what's probably been the biggest thing for me, like this year, so in January this year, me and my business partner parted ways. The relationship was becoming unhealthy, which was in large part due to the kind of almost lag time of what has been going on for me. So, like, you know, I've had relationship challenges, ironically, other than with myself and with my wife and my children, there's been relationship problems. And those relationship problems, I believe, have in large part been because I've been learning more about myself, and the dominant pleaser pattern that has existed in me is starting to die somewhat. Die. It's starting to die. And obviously that's causing people to kind of not really know what I'm about, or I'm saying things, or I'm speaking out things, or I'm being blunt or brutally honest in a way that people don't like. Like, she won't watch it, so I'll just say, you know, this week I had a couple of months ago I had an issue with my mom where I basically communicated a need to her. And the way that the message was, she didn't receive it well, because my mom hasn't had the emotional regulation stuff that I've had. And look, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on it. Anyway, this thing wasn't received. We hadn't spoken for a while. And then this week we had an exchange of text messages. And that's kind of created a need for space in that relationship. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because, going back to the point of the video, which is about being versus doing, one of the things I've realized is, like Eckhart Tolle says, we're called human beings, but we act like we're human doings. And I've known this intellectually for a very long time, but I believe there's a big difference between intellectualizing something and actually applying it and integrating it. But like, take this morning, for instance, or even just over the past few weeks. I've been doing less, like in terms of, an example would be my business, right? I've had a long-standing unhealthy obsession with doing in an attempt to make me feel worthy, validated enough, either in my own eyes or in the eyes of other people. And I've had this thing where I've done a certain amount of work and now I feel enough. And over the past few weeks, I've been doing a lot less. Like kind of Pareto's law, if you're familiar with that, which is, you know, they say, who says it? Pareto, whoever he is. But the Pareto's principle is that 80% of your success in life comes from 20% of your doing, right? Whereas I've probably been the other way around. I've been doing 80% of stuff, creating 20% results or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make here is I've been a human doing, not a human being. And lately I've been doing a lot less. And the irony being that what I'm about to say is I've been meditating more, which you might be watching this going, okay, smart ass. That's just another form of doing. And yeah, it is on one hand, but it's more about helping me to be in the moment and not be like chasing the next thing that I believe is going to make me feel whole. And meditation is one of the healthiest ways that I've come across to make me feel whole. So yeah, going back to the original point, like I've been doing a lot less and I've been achieving some really good stuff. And earlier today, it's funny because I've been speaking about it more, and I always say the ego is always apt to try and catch me out, because earlier I was saying how in my men's group, how I'm doing less, I'm being more. And then I had like this thing come in this afternoon where I went into fear and I was worried about money and I was worried about cash, and straight away I was like, oh, I better do something. But this time I caught the pattern and I recognized that it was a pattern. And it's funny because I had this video planned to do this topic yesterday, but it's perfect that it's come in on a day where that pattern has kind of creeped in, because it's arguably more congruent because I'm actually feeling it today. Like I'm feeling more being friction than I probably felt for a few weeks. And I think it's because I still have this old money pattern where if my money goes below a certain amount, I hit this threshold where I go into kind of, fear. And the reason I tell you that, and the reason for that level of vulnerability, is hopefully to kind of illustrate the fact that as I do these videos, I'm in no way trying to give you the impression that I'm fixed or perfect. And in fact, none of us are perfect and none of us need fixing. Just to add that bit in. Where was I going? Oh yeah, just being versus doing, right? So if you're watching this video and let's say you're in my community, which is around coaching, then people often say to me, what do I need to do to get clients? And on one level, there is obviously there's a doing that is a part of that, like inviting people to a coaching call, delivering a great coaching call. Like that has to be done, right? You have to plant the seeds if you want to harvest the crop, right? You've got to. But, a big but, if the you that shows up in the coaching experience or in the invitation isn't so fully present that the other person feels the energy as one that is not needing a client, but is doing it because they love it, then the person on the other end, the recipient, will unlikely reciprocate with what you want, which is to deliver them a coaching session, and my guess is potentially enroll them, if they're a right fit, in your program. So the challenge with the doing versus being bit is there obviously is a grey area in the being, where part of the being is kind of doing, but it's less tactical, stressy, needy, get energy, and it's more about who do I need to be to attract more of what I want. Because when you spend more time working on your character and your identity and who you need to be, like I sometimes think about my business and I think about certain people who are people I admire, and I think, how would they do this? Like Vishen Lakhiani, founder of Mind Valley, big fan. How would Vishen Lakhiani run my coaching business? Or Brooke Castillo, founder of the Life Coach School. Or Tony Robbins. If they were me right now, how would they run my business? And sometimes I'll meditate on that. And sometimes I'll do a heart coherence breath work. And I'll journal as if I'm them giving me guidance. In fact, I may even, have I got time? I've got a session with my own coach shortly. I may do that. Because it's a powerful thing to do, to get that intuitive inner guidance as if it's somebody else. But yeah, I'm a big believer, the 80-20 principle. I think you can apply that to being versus doing, which is spend 80% of the time working on your character, your emotional regulation, your spiritual center, who you are being, your joy, your energy, your enthusiasm, upgrading your mind, being grateful for what you've already got. Spend 80% of the time in that space will enable you to get a much higher result in terms of if the goal is for you, if you're watching this, to build a coaching practice, etc. Yeah. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this one. Being versus doing. I'm going to put this back up on the wall where it belongs. And I'll see you next time. I hope you're enjoying these videos, by the way. If you are, I really want to hear from you. If there are comments, thoughts that you want to share, if you also want to know more about how we can work together, somewhere in the underneath, I think, on YouTube, there's a link for you to read more about our courses and our programs and the things that we do at Mastercoach. That's it from me. See you next time. Peace out.